Alright fellas, here back with pokemonmasters video. We got ourselves the overview for Kieran and Hydrapple. Going to be releasing tomorrow for the run-up to the half anniversary of the game. Alright, so Kieran's definitely good, and if you want good fighting types, you're going to want to get this guy. I mean, that's just pretty much how it's going to have to be. I don't think he's like a crazy, like, oh my god level character, especially... He's in between that range of like being pretty disappointing like Signasuit Nemona and being like really good like Signasuit Gladion. I think he is definitely like up more towards the Gladion side of things, if anything. He's good for sure. Okay, let's take a look and see what he can do. I'm going to drop him back down to level 150 just for the sake of it, basically. 150, 6-star EX. Looking at his stats here, he's got 430 attack, 394 special attack, 241 defense, 236 special defense, 365 speed, and nearly 800 HP. These are good stats all around, and of course you're going to want to level 180 him and make those stats better. Level 180, give him the Tech EX roll. He is a field tech character. It's not a bad roll combo. Could be worse for sure. He's got 510 attack, 944 HP. Special attack doesn't really matter, but he does have some more. 291 defense, 286 special defense, and 413 speed. These are good stats all around. I mean, 180 stats, level 180 is pretty nuts. So, yeah, he can definitely work off of these stats, though, is the point. He's got Breaking Swipe. This by itself is not that crazy of a move, but he can make utilization of it. I do also want to mention he is a Terastal Sync Pair, so we'll go into that in a bit, but he's fighting type because of that. But yeah, Breaking Swipe doesn't really do too much. He's got potions for healing. Not really anything crazy to go into here. This just makes him very self-sufficient for the most part. I know some people are not really going to like me kind of just like brushing potions to the side, but like there's not much to explain about him. It helps the kit. I don't really know if fighting necessarily needs another potion user, considering one of the best supports for the team is Champion Rosa, or, I mean, if you're in the sense of going through the tower, you got Aura Cynthia. And hell, I mean, you've got this character too, who can heal herself at least. I don't know. I mean, either way, at least Kieran, if you are running Airy, Kieran is going to be good for healing the team and not just himself, right? He's got Red Ripe Sunny Day, which is his buddy move. It targets all allies. It's a one-use move, 3 uses. Activates when HP is at 50% or more. Deactivated when it is less than 50%. Makes the weather sunny, reduces sync countdown by 1, and increases the sync move up next of all allies by 2. This by itself is not a crazy effect, but this is something he's going to want to actually make usage of later. And then he's got himself his trainer move, which buffs an ally's attack by 6, crit by 3, and applies gradual healing. You can select who you want to use it on, but every time you're going to use it on him, okay? Obviously. And of course, with him being a Terastal Sync pair, he does have the passive debut fighting Sync Tera, so he Terastalizes on entry, and that gives him this Topaz Tera Blast Tera move, which hits all enemies. It's 2 gauge, 180 power, 100 accuracy, lowers one of the following stats of all by 2-star ranks at random of the enemy. It's all enemies because it's AoE, and it's all of the core stats plus evasion and accuracy. Same stats lowered for all sync pairs. Power of the move is not lowered if there are multiple targets. That's very good. And has a 50% chance of doubling power as well as doing another set of debuffs. So he can do up to 4 debuffs on all enemies, potentially, as well as have this be, 360 power, which is really good. But of course, it's a 50% chance to proc that, so you got to put in some RNG for that, and of course, divide your overall DPS up just because of that chance. You can't rely on landing the 50% proc every single time. And of course, he has the sync move, which is start over from 0 Tera Blast, which just sets the fighting zone because he's a field sync pair, extends duration of it, and has a extra little multiplier because of the Tech EX roll here. So there's no innate multiplier for it, but he will get some stuff in the grid. Let's be sure of that. So overall, just looking at his moves, he's got good healing. He's got great self-sufficiency. He can set Sun and do some sync countdown and sync move up next enhancement. He's got attack debuffing it with Breaking Swipe. Again, Breaking Swipe is not good. He just has stuff to try and make it good, but this is your real spammable damage move. With it being 2 gauge, that's very good gauge efficiency as well. I also need to turn on my capture cursor. Right there. With it being 2 gauge, that's really good. And also being 180 power is pretty solid with no split damage, and then of course the chance to double it and do a bunch of debuffs. I do like those debuffing characters. Look at his passive skills here, and for his custom Lucky Cookie, he's got Speeding Sun 2. Yeah, sure, I guess. Probably not running that, but it is there, I guess. Just run Weathered Warrior, man, or Crit Strike, whichever. Probably Weathered Warrior. Yeah. Oh wait, does this have the? Oh, it does have the. Does it have the fun cookies? It does have the fun cookies. Okay, so these are like his custom cookies plus. Okay, got it. Anyway, he's got Paldea Flag Bearer. This does a 10% power buff to ally moves and 20% damage reduction. With more Paldea allies, he can get up to 26% damage reduction, as well as up to 30% of a power buff. That's not bad, for sure. I mean, you could definitely run a pretty solid Paldea team with him, Eriott, and Juliana if you really want to. I'm not going to say that's your best fighting options or fighting teams, but it is there. And it does have synergy, so there is something that can work with that. Because I believe Juliana, yeah, she's got Paldea Pride, which is the physical version, so they can work together. And that's probably why Kieran has Flag Bearer. They are made to work off of each other. It's meant to be that in-game lore, you know, cohesion type thing that they're building for that. Anyway, as we said, he did have the fighting Tera, and now we can go back and see once he does Tera, he gets this passive, which is called Kitakami Sunlight. When he sets Sun, he sets Fighting Zone. So this Sun setting becomes a setting of Fighting Zone. So that gives a lot more extra usage to it. That is 3 sets of Fighting Zone, as well as an extra set from the Sync move. So that's 4 sets of Fighting Zone for the guy. Really good. Ally sets Weather Terrain Zone. Team boosts. Team moves up next. Increasing moves up next of all allies by 1 when it activates a Weather Terrain or Zone effect. I'm not sure how. Will this be 2? Realistically, this should be 2, but I also would not be surprised if it's just 1, because it's coming off of the effect of a passive. I don't remember. How does it work for, I need to look at this. This character, I don't know what passive it is. Oh, this. Increasing moves on next on odds by 1 when activates the weapon. Okay, so yeah. I think it's gonna work. It's this is an assumption, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna work the same way. Is it going to work the same way as Elisa? Am I crazy? I might be crazy. Blood Alert 3, allies this weather terrains. Hold on. Okay, I'm not 100% sure, but I know with this character, whenever she procs rain, it doesn't count for whatever reason. It doesn't do an extra tick of this. It's only 1. I feel like Kieran might be the same thing. He's similarly played. So I feel like you might only get 1 stack of moves up next for allies whenever you set Sun, but I could also be wrong. It might also give you +2. Again, I can be wrong. But either way, that's some support. That's good for both the special and physical allies. A big benefactor of that is going to be Signasuit Bead, because he's got that tons of extra enhancement off the physical and special moves up next, considering how he's meant to be a mix of both here. So he does work with both of them. And of course, the physical's good for Juliana, and special can be good for any other special attacker that's not Bead, which I'm pretty sure is basically just Bead. I guess this character. Sure, yeah. If you want to run him with Costume Diantha. Anyway, that's the Kitakami Sunlight passive. He's got Super Sweet Syrupy Apple, which has him in 9 for debuffing evasion. Sure, it works off of the ability of Hydrapple, I think, so it makes sense, I guess. Sunny Days, debuffing defense by 1 when the attack move is successful while in Sun, so your breaking swipe's going to be debuffing 3 stats AoE. This is going to be debuffing like 5 stats AoE. So sure, or well, 4 stats and then up to 6, I guess. So that's pretty good. And then Fighting Zone hit special defense down. Okay, never mind. It's also another. Yeah, the point is the guy debuffs a lot. He debuffs special defense in Fighting Zone, debuffs defense in Sun. That's going to be good for all his allies. He's going to be a good character to enhance a bunch of characters, just because he's got defensive debuffs, general master passive support, as well as both Sun and Fighting Zone, which is great. Obviously, Fighting Zone is good for Bead. Both of the Fighting Zone and Sun is good for Juliana. Obviously, any of these characters are going to benefit under the Fighting Zone and the defense debuffs and the master passive, so you're going to be working pretty well off of that stuff. So this is all good. Evasion, I guess, can be good. This is good for, like, Latios and stuff, and if, like, I think most stages tend to debuff your accuracy more than they debuff or buff their own evasion by this point, but any stages that do buff their evasion, you can play around that very well. And then to go along with that, he's got Power Play, which is a 120% multiplier at 18 debuffs on the enemy for his sync move, sync move. So that's good. He's all single target focusing, but you do have characters that can focus AoE, like Juliana with her sync move, as well as, I believe, isn't Beat an extend range unit? I don't know. Dude, it's been a while. Yeah, he's got extend range, okay. So yeah, those characters are going to benefit a lot under Kieran's tutelage, I guess? I don't know. And of course, Kieran himself has some good multipliers. So Kieran definitely works pretty well. He's pretty effective. He's got some great debuffing to help out his team's damage, his master passive as well, his 4 sets of fighting zone, as well as the sun for Juliana, as well as the sync move up next increase he gets for allies, and the physical and special moves up next increase he gets for allies. So he's very good for supporting characters, as well as doing some pretty good damage of his own with his Topaz Tera Blast, which is infinitely usable, by the way. And of course, he's got his own sync move, which is going to do some pretty solid damage as well. So you're going to want some more multipliers for that from this grid. So looking at Kieran's 1 out of 5 grade, he's got just Headstrong and Gauge Refresh on the sunny day. Not really anything crazy. Headstrong's not bad, but just more as an option. 2 out of 5, he gets Sync Freebie, Potion Master Healer, Attack Trap on Breaking Swipe, Gauge Refresh, Train Move NPR, Sunscreen, Healing Sun, Brawling Acceleration, and Tera Blast Gauge Refresh. I'm not sure if the Gauge Refresh stuff is a it's like a big deal for him, but it's mostly a Legendary Arena stuff. He and his partners, I don't believe, tend to struggle too much for Gauge. I believe Juliana's pretty speedy. She buffs her own speed by 6. I don't remember. Doesn't she give herself free moves next? These characters have too many damn abilities. Am I crazy? I probably am. Support, restore stuff, sunny attack buff. Okay, so she doesn't give herself free moves next, unless I'm just completely missing it. Either way, I don't think Juliana really struggles much for Gauge. Like, you look at her stats. She's got the same speed stat as Kieran, of course. Of course she does. I believe Kieran's is the same stat. Okay, it's wrong level anyway. It's 180 compared to 150. Anyway, I think Juliana's pretty decent on Gauge. Bead, I don't think is too crazy on Gauge as well. Point is that it's just like not a crazy passive for him. Like, the Gauge help is something you're not really going to need too much of, but I guess it is there if you do really need it. It's mostly for a Legendary Arena, I figured. So most of these Gauge related abilities, I don't think they're going to be that crazy for him. Attack Trap, this does not play into really anything right now, but this can help with deactivating enemy like defensive restrictions and gimmicks and stuff. Like, he's needing a status change, it helps with that. Not too many stages. Rebuff is really the best thing to do for this, but this can also be helpful for the fighting tower. That is going to be a very, very handy thing to have, actually. So this can be good there. That's probably why he's got it, honestly. Potion Master Healer for some extra healing. Not much else needs to be said there. Again, I'm not trying to underrate potions, but we all know how good potions can be given a lot of situations. I don't need to go over why every character is good to have potions, or decent enough with potions, rather. Healing Sun for a little bit of HP recovery. This can be good if you don't want to waste your potions. Sure. Sunscreen 2 for some extra damage reduction abilities. That can be great for survivability, especially when he's already got a master passive here. It is going to be pretty helpful for that. So he's kind of double dipping on the damage reduction stuff, as well as potentially having offensive debuffs from his Tera move here. Train of NPR is not that great. Gradual healing on top of that, it's another bit of healing, sure. But I guess if you want to get the gradual healing back, this can be decent. But overall, not really that crazy of an ability. Again, maybe solid for the Legendary Arenas. That's pretty much it. And that's most of his 2 out of 5. His 2 out of 5 is not really crazy at all. It's just some extra power stuff, so a little bit of utility. When I say extra power stuff, I mean like a plus 10 attack tile. It's not crazy. A little bit of healing and gauge recovery stuff, and a gimmick check. I honestly think this might end up being just the best tile at his 2 out of 5, simply because it gives him a way to check enemy conditions in the fighting tower. That's like it. Anyway, on top of that, he gets Foul Fighting 3 to kind of work with that attack trap. It's a good multiplier. Discombobulate on Breaking Swipe. 2 sync tiles here. Endurance, Potion NPR 2. Strike, sync move up next, but up by 9. Whatever. Haymaker, Sunny Team moves up by 2. Super Sun 4, and that's it. Okay. Good abilities. All around very solid. I don't think Endurance is going to be that crazy on him, but if you can find a good way to use it, it is there. It's kind of funny that both him and Carmine both get Endurance. That's just kind of funny. He gets the Potion NPR. Again, that can be really good, depending on the situation that you're in. Amazing in Legendary Arenas, amazing in setups for whatever reason, if you're running a team that does not have great HP recovery. It does take away from Kieran's ability to do too much damage, but if you are really focusing on another character doing damage, whether it be like Juliana or Signasuit Bead, you can kind of take away from him trying to do like a damaging role and give him just the utility of Potion Spam plus Sunny Day, and kind of just use his Tera move whenever he can, right? You can try that and see how it works. The 2 sync tiles here, very good for increasing his extra sync damage here. Haymaker as well as a multiplier, and Strike Sync move up next. Increases it by 1 when its attack move hits. If the move has a multi-strike effect, has a 100% chance of increasing it for each hit. This is an AoE move, so this is going to be doing it for every enemy he hits. So on top of Power Play and Haymaker, which is already 220% multipliers plus the sync move up next here, he's got this sync move up next stacker, which can also, you know, stack up with this. So that's a lot of extra multipliers that Kieran can get. His sync move can actually hit pretty hard. So that's going to be quite good to see. He's definitely got a very competent sync move, especially once we actually get that EX Fighting Zone setter. And by the way, just to put it out there, Kieran is going to be a very, very good character to have once we actually get to that point, because he's going to have that Fighting Zone, the 4 sets of Fighting Zone for that character. He's going to be a very, very capable character to run. And that's also going to be pretty helpful with this. I do think that with his Sunlight, thankfully for him, Sun is not a crazy thing that he needs to like be super competent. He does get, going into this first, he gets 20% support when in Sun, or when, well, yeah, when in Sun, so 20% extra damage for allies. This is not that crazy of a multiplier, and I do not think it is that crazy to have to like try and keep Sun up constantly in order to actually have it activated. So in the case of like, let's say that the EX Fighting Zone setter comes out, it sets EX Fighting Zone. You use Kieran, you can spam this and set infinite sets of Fighting Zone to, you know, increase that timer before it goes out. And you can also get the extra effects of this, like the sync move up next for allies and the sync countdown, so you can actually get all of that as well. And also this. So it's gonna like, obviously if you're using it in the first few turns, then it's gonna peter out pretty quick, but that's a lot of sync countdown, that's a lot of sync move up next, and that's a lot of physical and special moves up next for your allies to make great use of for those like first 2 sync rotations basically. So very, very solid stuff for Kieran whenever we actually do get the EX Fighting Zone setter, at least in my opinion. Super Sun 4, not Legendary Arena, damage challenge stuff, that's it. It's literally it. I don't think this is gonna be that crazy otherwise. Foul Fighting 3 for an extra multiplier. This is why you're potentially gonna want the Breaking Swipe attack trap, so he can actually be competent at doing some DPS. Because I mean, 165 power is not terrible, especially when not split damage off of a 500 attack stat, but it's definitely not that crazy. And of course, it's only a 50% chance to double the power. So having some multipliers to help that out, and especially double the power once it actually does have, or sorry, when it does double the power, it'll still have that 30% multiplier to do even more damage. It's gonna be quite good. Or, you know, 50% if you actually do have this ability up, which I think, at least until we actually do get the EX Fighting Zone setter, you're going to want to be spacing out your uses of this, so you're going to have Sun up for a good majority of the fight anyway, so it's good to have this. And Breaking Swipe discombobulate 9, accuracy debuffs on Breaking Swipe. I'm honestly going to... I don't know how to feel about that. I like the idea of it, but you can already debuff accuracy by using this, so this just makes... I don't see a major usage in this. Like, I guess if you're using Breaking Swipe to set the attack trap, you can get accuracy debuffs on top of it. That can be decent, and of course it's not RNG dependent. But frankly, for a lot of harder fights, especially like maybe the Fighting Tower, if I'm going down to the point where I'm relying on enemies missing their attacks by me debuffing their accuracy or something, I would rather just use the extra damaging move and, you know, deal with the RNG of not getting max accuracy debuffs, or having to have a lot of luck to get max accuracy debuffs, than I would rather just spam a significantly weaker move, because you got to consider how much damage you're doing as well. This might be good in the legendary arenas. I don't really know if that's going to be good much of elsewhere though, but I could be wrong. Again, I could be wrong, so say whatever you want. Overall, I like Kieran's 3 out of 5. It's very good for enhancing his damage, as well as giving him a little bit of support stuff. That's always nice to have, as well as that potion NPR. That can be very, very good depending on the situation as well. Let's look at this 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5, you get Sync Burst 1. I mean, that's good in all fronts. That gives you an extra set of the potion, so if you need to heal up and you don't want to deal with the extra RNG, or, you know, if you've already used your potions and you failed the NPR, you've got an extra chance at it. So Sync Burst can be great for that. Most notably, it's going to be amazing for an extra set of Sun. That's 4 sets of Sun this guy can do, as well as 5 sets of Fighting Zone. And on top of that, you still get all the effects like the moves up next increases you get from it, as well as the sync move up next, as well as the sync countdown. So he's getting a lot of great buffs from having Sync Burst here. Very, very good. And of course, this completely invalidates the need pretty much for training with NPR, at least in my opinion. So sure, there it is. And then 5 out of 5, he hits Sun, Fighting Zone, and Extension. Yeah, okay. That's great. That's going to be extremely good to have when we get that EX Fighting Zone setter, and it's already pretty good to have now. I mean, that's going to make his Fighting Zone sets last for even longer. That's going to stack with the Field EX roll here, right? And that's going to be very good for the Sun support that he's going to have here as well, if you're not running him with Juliana. If you're running him with Juliana, you do not need the extra Sun help. She will do a lot of that for you, but it's good to have at least some extra stuff there, especially outside of our team comps. So I do like Kieran's 4 and 5 out of 5. I think they're very good for him. And they're even better in the sense that, like, you don't have to waste energy to try and pick up tiles anymore. You can just, I don't have to pick up the special defense tile here, or I don't have to pick up this breaking swipe tile. Like, this is already free, but, like, I don't have to waste my time picking up, like, a tile like this. But I can just pick this up instead. And I've already got the sync tile there. I've got the breaking swipe attack trap and foul fighting. So I do like that stuff for him. Same thing with Sync Burst. Pretty much the same thing. You don't have to waste 4 energy trying to get extra stuff on the sides here. So what would really be the best grid to potentially run for Kieran? It's a great question. Let's see. Looks like you're already gonna have to kind of pick up something like that, potentially, if you're going to want all the buffs here. Yeah, because this is 12. This is 8. This is going to be 10. So, like, this is literally the cheapest way to pick up all of these tiles if you don't care for either of these. And then it's going to kind of depend on these. So I don't think you're going to... I don't know. Can you get the support? Seems like you might have to miss out on some sync tile stuff if he wants to get the support. Which, that support is expensive to get, man. That's one of the worst placements for a tile like that ever. I don't really think that's going to be too worth your time to try and invest in. I don't know. Figure out something else. I think that's going to be the best way to go about it. I think that Strike Sync move up next and Haymaker are way too good for him, though, to kind of pass up. That support's good, but that's very far out of the way. Anyway, whatever. That's kind of my thoughts on Kieran. He's very good to go for now because the fighting desperately needed a new Fighting Zone setter. The only real options were or Cynthia or Champion Hop. Champion Hop was a good option, but he's really started to age, or at least show his age. And other than that, it's literally just, or Cynthia, who's becoming a better support now because of Fighting Tower, but outside of that, not really that crazy. So it's good to have another Fighting Zone setter, and a consistent one at that. Because we all know, oh my gosh, I'm throw up in my mouth. Because we all know how Aura Cynthia worked with her setting on the sync move only and stuff. Got a lot better with her cookie. But good luck getting her cookie, right? Gonna fucking lie, that's, man, those chests are, I've still not gotten a 3-star chest. And if I do, it's not even a good chance I get a cookie. Well, I guess it's a coin flip. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's my thoughts on Kieran, though. He's good for now because of the needs for Fighting Zone. He's got a good partner with Juliana, and definitely a very good partner for Bede with all of his mixed enhancement with the Flag Bearer passive, as well as the physical and special moves up next, and just sync move up next as well. And general support if you can pick up this passive. And he's going to be very good once the EX Fighting Zone and Arc Suit release, because they're also going to be very good under his own buffs, especially if they do it in a case of, like, Arc Suit Ethan, where it is the Fighting Arc Suit and the EX Fighting Zone set are both together, and then Kieran gains even more stocks because he can take up all the rest of the roles by himself, and then you've got your support, right? Or if it's a supportive character already, then, well, you got another damage dealer. That's gonna be fun. Anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on Kieran. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments below. I'll see you later. Hope y'all enjoy. Please. What the hell? I need to go. It's bad. Peace.